Police is strongly
If you could ask Edgar Wright himself one question about Shaun of the Dead, what question would you ask him?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Like, what was like the best part of being a director? Kind
The
of.
best scene to direct.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that question. You should just ask him yourself.
Get
wanna hold it?
phone. That's unbelievable.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
How you doing?
This is amazing. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're very, very excited. We're very excited. We've been watching. Can you believe it's 20 years since Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah, it came out in April the 9th in the UK.
Yes.
And then I think September sometime in the States. So it's 20 years ago. It's crazy.
It's
it doesn't
phenomenal.
feel like it. I got to answer your question.
Yes. Go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, like, what was like your like favorite scene to direct, like as a director?
You know what's funny, and I don't want to put you off being a director, but like I think I'm probably the person having the least fun on the set because like I think Simon and Nick frequently were having a great time making the movie. But as a director, you're really like, usually quite stressed out most of the time, just trying to get through your day. And the main thing is you want to make sure that the actors can be at their funniest. So I think probably when I think about good days, I probably think about maybe towards the end of the shoot when the stuff with Simon and Nick in the apartment in Shaun's flat, that was all done towards the end of the shoot when we'd done a lot of the other location stuff. And I think we'd even done the Winchester scene with the fire and all the zombies. So it was strange in a way. We kind of ended up with their flat and just the two of them and Pete Serafinovich as well. And that was somehow like some of the funniest days because we felt like we'd already done some of the tougher stuff in the movie and it was about them just being funny. So lots of stuff when they're like, drunk and kind of dancing to the hip hop. And on the last couple of days we did, I think you can see it on the DVD where we did some takes where we did them doing Sean Connery and Michael Caine and some takes where they were doing the Beatles.
The Beatles, yeah.
I'm not saying it was you.
I know, man, but...
I'm saying it was Ringo.
Right.
And I think those are probably in the last couple of days of the shoot as things are sort of starting to get... Usually it goes the other way round. You start with something easier and then end with the hard stuff. But I think on Shaun of the Dead, we started with the hard stuff and ended with some of the lighter stuff. So I'd say towards the end of the shoot.
I heard that when you did the walk to the shop, you did the second walk to the shop first, where the road was all smashed up and the cars and the zombies. That's crazy. Like, what's the logic behind doing it that way?
Yeah, so we shot the zombie apocalypse first and the day before second because it is quicker to clean up than it was to set all of that stuff. So basically the art department could set everything the night before ready for the first bit and then over lunch clean up. It was much easier to do it that way around. And that was the first day of the shoot. Like that was the first thing that we shot on the film.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, like to do something so ambitious, walking to the shops and back, which is like a 3-minute take. So Shaun walking to the shops on the first day of the zombie apocalypse is the first shot of Shaun of the Dead, which is crazy because it's probably the most famous shot in the movie and it was the first thing that we shot.
You got to tell him about your recreation of the walk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you went to Wayton Park, right?
So we were aware of the 9th of April being the date that it came out, and I like introducing comedy to Olivia on different levels, and she trusts me. She kind of goes, "Oh no, I don't want to watch it." I was like, "I know you will watch it," but she really enjoyed it. So as soon as Nick Frost got involved, she was locked in. But then she went off and learned everything that she could about the film, and then she just said, "Oh my God, it's coming! Like a 20-year anniversary is this April." So what did you want to do?
I wanted to walk across the road and do the walk and I just went like, Dad, can we go to London and walk across the road to get a Cornetto? And he's like, okay, why? And I was like, 'cause movie. And he's like, okay.
I wonder how many Cornettos that shop has sold since the film. Of people going and making that pilgrimage to that location.
Well, we gave him 15p extra because Shaun shortchanged them.
Are you about 15p?
So I always wonder, do people just all give him 15p's as well? Is he making a fortune over the last 20 years by extra 15p's as well? But it's very,
I
very funny.
remember when we shot the scene, the owner of the newsagent seemed very bemused that an actor was coming in to play him. And I could sort of see him standing there he was looking at us like we were all crazy, like as if he was saying, well, why didn't you just get me to do this? So it was because he stayed, I'm pretty sure that they stayed working in the shop right up until we filmed. They just wanted to stay open and until we were ready to go, and then they very reluctantly closed for the few hours that it took to do the scene, and then went straight back to being open again. So the owner of the shop was there the entire time, like standing just out of shot, which was funny.
Did you film the interior of the shop on both times in the same day, like with the blood and without the blood? And
Oh yeah, we did.
Wow. Can I ask you a question about not about directing or just about the film itself, about
Sure.
writing the film?
Yeah.
The amount of it's in a lot of the films, but in the amount of callbacks and references, how do you do that? Have you got like a big chalkboard with one sentence and with like 2 seconds, and then we just write that up and then say how many times can we do that? Or you got red on you, and then, like how many times can everything get played into? Or obviously there's the famous scene after Shaun gets dumped where Ed talks about drinking the whole next day, but it's the whole plot of the film. Like, how do you get it so integral? And is it something that you just stumble on where you, later on the film we can get them to say, oh, you could say that now again, or is that just one big storyboard?
Well, it's all in the writing process. So me and Simon, we wrote all of that stuff, as we were coming up with the idea for the film, and then you start kind of just brainstorming. And before we even wrote a word as a screenplay, we had this big flip chart where we just write everything down. I think we maybe had it in a notebook first, then we wrote it onto a big flip chart. So we kind of had like a page per scene. We always like the idea of lines kind of having callbacks, or at least they rhyme. Usually it's like it's said twice and then a third one subverts it. So, you say a phrase twice and then the third one is a subversion, or something like you've got red on you, like it starts off as being like biro, like the red ink pocket, and then it becomes blood. So a lot of it was finding phrases that meant one thing in the normal world and a different thing in the zombie world. Like when they run into Yvonne, he says, she asks him, how are you doing? And he says, oh, surviving, which, is what people say just on the street when you're asking how somebody is. But then obviously in the zombie world, when people are dying, the word surviving takes on a different context. That all comes in the writing process. There isn't really anything. But it's definitely like there was a kind of an idea of like what phrases work in the real world, which could also be applied to a zombie apocalypse.
Do you guys want to show Edgar your walk? Do you want him to watch it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we got the ability to play it.
Ah, that's neat.
On the top, that's you.
Yeah.
The bottom is.
Yeah.
That was clear to me as well. You got some random cameos there.
This is my favorite part where she tries to do the stumble but doesn't want her to stumble.
I kind of just.
I'm glad you didn't smash the car windscreen.
No.
No.
Or knock down the
No.
bollard in the middle of the road.
It's funny just how the location looks almost exactly the same.
Yeah, there's one part of it is like they extended the building out white, but it looks exactly the same altogether. And everybody walks around like it's normal as well. But Olivia was
I was like,
The
oh
first
my God!
time, the first time she tried to make the walk, she just stopped and got real giddy because she was I'm in a movie set. It's like, what does people just going about their day?
That was great. Well done. You know what's funny is that when we before we shot the scene, the DOP of the movie, he was convinced that the shot was going to get cut out. And I said, why? He goes, oh, because it's just shoe leather. You know, it's just somebody walking from one place to another. You know, this won't make the final film. And after he said that, I was so convinced that it was worth doing that I sort of tripled all of the detail in the shot. And we sat down, me and Simon and Marcus Rowland, the production designer, sat down and worked out lots of extra stuff for the shot. And then me and Simon and Marcus went down to the location and shot Simon on video doing the walk himself, doing the slip and everything. So there's even like weirdly like a version of it on video that's without any of the extras of Simon just doing the same walk that you just did.
That's amazing. This is really surreal. Just having this conversation.
They nailed it too.
Yourself. But that was the second full attempt after the giddiness.
Yeah.
The second full attempt of the walk, and then she was just happy with it. And then that was it.
Olivia, I know you're really passionate about editing too. Do you have any questions for Edgar about editing?
I don't know, because like,
Maybe he's got some tips and tricks for you. Or like, if Edgar, if you have any advice for getting started as an aspiring editor.
When I was starting out, you know, and as a teenager, which is in a sort of pre-internet age, you know, I was shooting things on the video camera, like but you know, I would do like transitions in camera a lot of the time. I would sort of, you know, do like the whip pans and things because it was an easy thing to do, of a way of kind of splicing two scenes together. So I think in a way I taught myself how to edit. And it's much easier now because you can literally edit on your phone, you know, let alone your computer. But back then I used to have to edit with two VHS players connected and press play and record on one, then press play on one and play and record on the other. And you'd have to press pause and then take pause off when you wanted it to go to the next scene. So I literally learned how to edit doing that. And I used to edit whole films, some of which were like an hour long, just by doing that method. And you'd have to do it in order. You couldn't kind of go back and change anything. So that's how I learned how to edit. And I kept on. I mean, I think even though I don't edit my films, it's a good tool as a director to know how to edit, because then when you're directing, you know exactly what you need for a scene. You're not, if you know how to edit, then when you're shooting something, you have a good sense of what you're going to need later.
Some good
That's
tips
good
right
advice.
there.
That is good advice. That is good advice.
One question for you, Edgar, because we're here talking to James and Olivia because it is so incredibly special that a father is sharing a movie he loves with his daughter. And I know you had a similar experience with your family. So can you tell us about the people in your life that shared their favorite movies with you?
I guess probably why me and my brother sort of are as obsessed with movies as we are is because I think my mum and dad really encouraged it when we were growing up. And certainly like I sort of aware of certain directors because my parents would talk about various people, whether it be Sergio Leone or Alfred Hitchcock or even like Busby Berkeley. And it's not like my mum and dad are massive movie nuts, but they do love it. And they did sort of encourage me and my brother to sort of go to, you know, they took us to the cinema a lot, which was kind of like the sort of one thing we'd, you know, like do together, like sort of as a family. So I have really fond memories of, I mean, you know, the first thing I ever saw was Star Wars at the cinema. Sounds like everybody has that story, but it's true. And I think when I saw Star Wars, I must have been like 3 or 4. And I didn't really understand the cinema that we went to see it in, which is no longer there. It's called the Galaxina in Bournemouth, and it had a starry ceiling. And so when Star Wars started, and there's that shot of the, you know, the kind of the Rebel transporter and then the Star Destroyer coming over, I didn't really understand where the cinema like stopped and the film started. It was a very surreal experience because it already had this star field on the ceiling, and then suddenly that the ships are coming out as well. So I remember that very vividly of like my first ever trip to the cinema.
I think my first was the duck soup. We used to watch.
Duck Soup was your first film at the cinema?
With my dad, yeah, they used
Wow.
to just there's a cinema called the Stella Cinema, and it shows older films. And sometimes it shows newer films, and it has a bed in it now. So Olivia's been there once to watch Sonic, but
Going there again this
yeah,
year.
my dad brought me to see Duck Soup, and
I love
thought,
Duck Soup.
this is just the funniest. Yeah, that was the funniest thing ever.
Nothing cooler than sharing the things you love with the people you love. So the fact that you've all had that experience is really filling my heart right now. Edgar, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, phenomenal.
Like the
Phenomenal.
coolest thing
Surreal.
ever.
Surreal. What do you have to say?
Thank you.
You enjoy your day.
Good luck on being a filmmaker, Olivia. You can do it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. This is Olivia Pickering. You'll hear from her for some reason.
Yes. I'll look out for your name on the big screen.
Yeah. She's going to take over the world, we hope, for good reasons.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much.
Edgar.
Wow. Yeah, you happy with that, man? That was a big surprise.
Was that the coolest?